to this video. My name is Adele and today I'm sharing with you my top 10 interview tips and tricks. Now, whether it's your first interview coming up or you have done many interviews before, you're sure to get something useful from this video, and I'll do my best to keep it light and fun throughout. So I've broken it up first of all to talk about before the interview. Now this is really important because the more prep we do before the interview, the easier the interview is going to be, and there are so many stresses we can reduce by doing good prep before the interview. So we'll start off looking at before the interview, we'll go into talking about the actual interview, and then at the end I've just got a few little bonus bits for you, so do stay until the end. So the most important thing you can do before your interview is get in a positive frame of mind. Now, interviews can be a really big deal. Many people feel really stressed about them, and this is normal, this is okay. But what I want you to do is know what your unique symptoms of stress are. Because we talk about stress and it's not a tangible thing, we might not know what it means to us. So just think about a time you found stressful and try and reflect on some of the things that happened in your body. So some of the classic things people say they might experience, things like the palms of the hands get sweaty, the mouth might feel dry, maybe the lips sort of start to stick together, needing a wee a lot, the heartbeat seems to have speeded up, this racing heart. So knowing what might happen to you and recognising that your body is trying to help you by doing these things. It's knowing it's big, and it's kind of your body getting you keyed up for something big. So just make peace with it, I think. Know what might happen for you, make peace with it and lean into it. If we expect it, it's not a shock, we're not taken back by it. So know some of these things might happen in the lead up to the interview. You might feel them just before the interview, you might feel them just as you go into the interview, and it's just your body recognising you're doing something different to what's normal for you. Now, one thing to note that I find fascinating, because I'm really interested in our brains and how they work, fear and excitement are actually the very same feeling in our body. So it's the thoughts in our brain that make them different. So just process that for a minute. Inside our body we have a feeling. Now whether that feeling is fear or excitement, it's exactly the same. But it's what you think about it that makes the feeling be called something different. Either I'm frightened or I'm excited. So I want you to be open to being excited about having an interview, because it's a big deal. You've been shortlisted, the company already thinks you could be a good fit, and that's something to celebrate. That really is exciting. So well done you. Now I want to just go on to number 2 now, and for us to think about a bit of research. You know, I'm a fan of doing a bit of snooping. So I want you to check out the company online. You'll probably already have done this for doing your application form. Certainly if you watched my video on that, you will have done a bit of snooping, so well done. And you'll have kept those notes as well. So if you've already done the snooping, time to get the notes out and review. If you haven't, go on the company's website, have a look through all the pages and sections, really set aside some time, get a cuppa and get familiar, particularly with like, what is their mission statement? What are they trying to achieve? What are they selling? What products are they offering? And what service are they offering? What, you know, how do they talk about themselves as a company? Now, just a little note on snooping. Just be sure you don't accidentally friend request the director of the company, and if you're on Facebook having a little snoop, you know, that would not be so good. That's a little bit too forward. But in all seriousness, a little quick check on LinkedIn or Facebook just to see if you've got any mutual connections with the business, maybe people who've worked there before, people who might still work there, who might have some useful info they can share with you. Now, if it's someone who is still working in the company, just be sensitive. You don't want to push them to disclose something they're uncomfortable with. But so just be professional in your approach. Keep it light, keep it pressure free, see what you can find out. Now, the reason I'm promoting that is when you're in the interview, it's about you feeling you're part of the company, talking in the way they talk, being on the same page. Let's move on to number 3 then. Know what to expect in the interview. So I want you to carefully read the interview invite. Have they asked you to prepare a presentation? Have they said if the interview is in part 1 or part 2? You know, is it two-parter? Is it group? Is it individual? Is it a simple interview with one person? Might there be a panel? Just anything. Now, at this point, if there's anything you want to clarify, you can just call them and just check that out. You could also ask who's interviewing, if that would be useful. I think it's really good to go in knowing people's names, so when you meet them you can say, hi, I'm Adele, hi Sally, hi John, you know, it's lovely to meet you. Sometimes when our nerves are, you know, out there, it's really hard to remember people's names. So I know when I've gone in a room and there's like 3 people interviewing, it's like John, Sally, Tom. I don't know if John's Tom or Tom's John. So it kind of helps me if I've had a little look on the website and go, that's who they're interviewing me, I know who they are. And also it makes you feel a little bit calmer. Anything you can know in advance will just soothe you. So yeah, it's okay to find out who's on the interview panel. It's, you know, ask questions, make a call ahead. Anything that's not clear, you can just call and ask. Next, I want you to prepare for the journey there. So try out the route if you can and plan to arrive at least 10 minutes early. More is better. Now, if you're travelling by public transport, it might notoriously be a little bit dodgy depending on the area you live in. You might want to get an earlier bus, find somewhere you can wait, a local cafe, a library you can go and sit in or whatever there is, just so that you aren't sat in their reception area for an hour. That might be a bit over keen, but you are in the area and you can just walk there at an appropriate time. Now, if you're using public transport, it's a really good idea to take a test journey if your time and energy allows. If you are doing a test journey, try and do it at a similar time of day, because off-peak, on-peak time, your journey time is going to differ. Now, you want to have your bus fare ready, you want to have topped up your weekly payment card, buy your train ticket in advance, get ready. Now, if you're driving, make sure you've got petrol in the car. You know, this is not the time for petrol roulette, a game of that going on. That would be a surefire way to instigate some stress. So whatever you need to do in advance that you can do, get your bus timetable, train timetable, car filled up, whatever you need. Now, also if you're driving, plan your route, do your test drive there. You want to check out parking. Do you need a parking permit from the reception? Will you need change for a parking meter? Is there a bit of a walk from the nearest place you can park? Is it metered 1 hour, but your interview could run over, so you might want to choose somewhere else? Just check all that out. And as I said, make sure you've got enough petrol in the car or diesel ready for your journey. So we've scoped out the company, we've looked at how, you know, our mode of transport, how we're getting there. We're going to look next at packing what you need. So things you're going to need either in a bag that is suitable and professional, or if not a bag, then maybe some kind of wallet, like something that would hold a laptop, you know, some kind of case like that. So the first thing I want you to do is take out what you do not need. So old tissues, keys to grandma's house, half-eaten sandwiches, get them out of your bag. Make way for things that you do need or might find useful. So at this point, give your bag a clean if it's your everyday bag. If you don't have a bag that's necessarily suitable for this time, excuse me, consider borrowing a bag from someone who does, or repurpose it. Like if you've got a laptop bag, you can repurpose. Just make sure it looks clean and suitable. And then when it comes to packing the bag, think about anything the company has asked you for. Certificates, ID to prove who you are, any references they want, anything they've asked. So, you know, print off the email if it was an email with all your directions, everything. Take your application form with you, and then make sure you've got some water to drink in case you get a dry throat. Put it in a container that won't leak. Have a tissue in case a cough or sneeze sneaks up, and a sweet or a mint for a dry throat. Now open that packet of sweets or mints or whatever you're taking, because rustling around trying to rip open a packet in an interview, just, you know, not the ideal. So have the packet open. You can always put a little clip on it or whatever. Also, an umbrella is a great idea because you'll have put all this effort into getting ready. And then the last thing you want is a torrential downpour and, you know, heading in like a drowned rat. So, yes, so pack that umbrella. Now, also, just double check you've got things like a copy of your application form, the bus timetable. I also like to make a list of previous experience that's relevant to the job or other information I might be asked questions on. So it might be on your application, it might say where you've worked, you might have a list of training. If you haven't, I would say make a list of places you've worked, training, and I tend to do it in a little spider diagram because that's my thing. I sort of have a circle in the middle and sort of relevant experience and little spider prongs coming off. And I like to refer to them during interviews. So can you give us an example of somewhere you've worked, Adele, where you used ABC skills? I'll say, oh yes, refer to my little diagram and say, oh, and I worked here, and also here I use them in this way. So I'm not like rooting around in my brain on the spot. I've got something to refer to. So yeah, the preparation stage, have those things ready in whatever format suits you. And then also add a note of anything you need to add to your bag, folder, wallet, whatever you're taking, on the day. So, because you might be using your mobile phone, you might be using your wallet, you might still be using your umbrella. So pop a note on that can't fall off that says mobile phone, wallet, umbrella, so that you put that in. So that's your bag all sorted. Just a quick note, if you do need any medications, asthma inhalers, make sure you've got those. You know what you need in your bag. Just those things that are rubbish, get all that out of the way, just so you feel efficient and planned. Now, the next step really in all of this is I like to get a tray and place everything on it that will be needed for the getting ready process just before the interview or the morning of the interview. So just a regular tray like I would carry my tea and coffee on. I put that somewhere on a surface and then I collect up things. So you might want to collect up things like your hairbrush, your favourite perfume, the electric razor, jewellery, your watch that you wear, anything like that that will aid you in getting ready. So it'll be unique to whatever you're wearing and it might be part of your outfit, or maybe if you wear any makeup or anything like that, those things. And this is really useful if you live in a house with other people. So if your housemate loves to borrow your hairdryer, for example, I would say to you, put a note on the tray saying, don't touch any of this, it's for my interview. So yeah, just, make sure that anything you need is to hand and not hiding in the place we call somewhere and who knows where it is. So when it's time to get ready, everything's to hand and there's no searching needing to happen. So let's move on to number 6 now. This is all about personal presentation. So our bag is ready. But what about us, our bodies? What are we wearing? Now, I can't tell you exactly what to wear. It really depends on the job you're applying for. Because if it's a smart office you're looking to work in, opt for smart as you would wear in the job. If it's an arts creative type organisation, you might wear comfortable, relaxed clothes. Maybe they're a bit fun, vibrant. If it is working on a building site, you might wear a smart version of what you would wear there. So jeans might be perfectly acceptable, a smart fleece, etc. So really be guided by the type of clothes you will wear in the job if you are successful. So, again, look on the website, pay attention to people's LinkedIn profiles. Just a quick note on LinkedIn, you can change your browser settings so it's private browsing, so people don't need to know that you've been looking at them. But above all else, I think the most important thing that you need to do is be comfortable in the clothes you choose. Look smart, look clean, be presentable. Now, if you are planning to wear new clothes or shoes, just double check you've removed those labels and that they're comfortable enough to move freely in. Do make sure all your clothes are clean. You can either press them, iron them, or hang them up while they're damp to dry, and then the creases will drop out. Make sure there's no holes in them. Now, if you need to wear clothes that are not your usual taste, things you don't have in the wardrobe, I think it's a great opportunity to be kind to the planet. You can either borrow some things from someone, you can buy second hand if you want to, and again, just put that full outfit on and have a look. So last couple of notes, clean your shoes, make sure your nails are clean. Try everything on together, including shoes, accessories, and just check that everything feels good, you can move freely, you feel confident, and then as you take those things off, put your jewellery on the tray we talked about, any hair clips, put those on the tray, and just know that that's sorted. Feel good, hang everything up, put it somewhere where it's not going to get touched by children, etc., and just breathe and know that you've sorted out where you're going, how you're getting there, you've sorted out what you're going to be wearing. So let's go on to number 7 then in our top 10. Now this is about getting to the right state to reduce stress in the run up to the interview. So you've done some of this practical planning, you've done your research, you've got your clothes ready, you've got your bag ready. Now there's some variables that can happen at this point, in like the evening before and maybe the morning just before the interview, and that is often other people can be around and start to have an effect, either positively or negatively, on how you're feeling. So again, some advanced planning is great if you can get help with the children for the morning of the interview, so you're not running around, so you don't get cornflakes and Rice Krispies in your hair. If you can delegate that to somebody else to manage so that you're able to stay peaceful and calm. If that's not possible, then again, just have as much in place as you can to make it easy. Make sure you've got your favourite coffee in, there's enough milk in the house, label it so housemates are not going to snaffle the milk before you even get to open the fridge. Have your breakfast sorted. Again, perfectly acceptable if you want a tray in the kitchen or just a corner where you've got your cereals, you've got your coffee, just things are to hand ready. It's going to make you feel like things are flowing beautifully on the day and all is good. Now, also, anything that's troubling you on your mind, things that are weighing you down, write them down, close the notebook, put it in a drawer, write it on a piece of paper and put it in an envelope. Just get it out of your body, make a commitment to attend to it after the interview. But for now, put it aside and clear your mind of it. And then also just have a think about something to look forward to after the interview. So when you're sat waiting for the interview, because you might be waiting 10 minutes, maybe more. I've waited 45 minutes for an interview. Just think about what you're going to be doing later and just, rather than musing over what to say in the interview, you've done all that. So, this is the time to just relax and think of nice things. Number 8 is all about visualisation. So your imagination, fantasy, visualisation is powerful, and it's actually used by many successful athletes and sports personalities, and they use it to promote peak performance in whatever they're doing. There's a reason for this. They'll actually pay quite a lot of money for it as well, but you can easily use this as your own life hack. What we know is that fantasy and reality use the same neurological pathways, the little connection highways in our brain. So knowing this, we realise that actually our brain can't truly distinguish between what's real, what we're having a fantasy about, and what is reality. So what is real and what is we're creating. Because if you think about it, even if you imagine something scary happening, you'll get the prickles, the goose pimples and things. Your body is reacting as if it's real. So you can use this to your advantage. You can trick your brain into thinking that you're a pro at interviews. So to do that, all you need to do is picture yourself in this interview that you're going to. Imagine having the answers. Imagine knowing the kinds of things they will ask. You're feeling confident. Your answers to the questions are flowing easily. You're doing great. Now, if you do this at least 3 times, it will really give your brain the sense that you know what you're doing, that this is a normal thing. So we've talked about that idea of interviews are not something we do every day. They're not the norm, which is what this kind of having butterflies kind of feeling comes from, and some of those nervous reactions. So if we can let our brain feel that it's normal by running it through 3 times at least, because then the brain will recognise it's a pattern, then that'll really help with the nerves. So within all this kind of idea of imagining and fantasy, be open to thinking about what kind of questions you might be asked. What can you, when you look at what they ask for in the application that you've completed, the essential and the desirable things, imagine saying those kinds of things, because that's what they're looking at. So you can use that to indicate what they're going to ask you about. So in this tip, we're using all the information we have from the company. We're imagining it going smoothly, some of the types of questions they might ask and how free the answers come. That is a really powerful one, and it will really soothe any nervousness and help you feel really, really ready. You can also do it with planning the journey going smoothly, arriving, feeling relaxed in the waiting area. So yes, really use your imagination. It's incredibly powerful. Now, we're going to talk now about being in the interview. So you've imagined it. Let's talk about being in it. A quick note on the difference between confidence and arrogance. Because sometimes people worry. People say to me, oh, but I'm worried. I don't want to come across as arrogant. But I do want to feel confident. I don't want to be too shy, timid, nervous. I want to be confident, but I don't want to go too far, because it's like this line. So, let's just clarify that before we even go into my first tip on this. So confidence is a very positive thing. It's being able to present yourself in a calm way. It's being able to speak freely at a reasonable pace. It's liking who you are, but it's respectful for the other people around you as well, and it allows space for them. Arrogance is a very different energy. It's very me, talking over, not turn taking, using big gestures and maybe being quite loud and gregarious, and it doesn't always make the other people around you feel good. So what I want you to move towards is confidence. Nice, calm, positive energy, room for the interview panel to ask their questions. Confidence can involve a little bit of nervousness as well. Confidence doesn't mean you can't be nervous. And as we go through the next point, I think this will come out a little bit more. But I really just wanted to answer about coming across as arrogant. That's very, shouty, me, I know it all. Confidence is very different. So let's look at tip 9, because we're racing to the end. So for tip 9, I want you to think about being open. Be open when you go into the interview. I want you to shake hands if that feels appropriate. Introduce yourself. Thank them for making the time to interview you. Now, what this is doing is it's settling you into the interview. You've gone in, you've shaken hands if that feels appropriate. You've said hello to everybody, you've introduced yourself, and this is just getting you used to using your voice before they even ask you any questions. Thanking them for the time is nice manners. It gives them a nice impression of you. So check where you're going to sit, and if they've offered you a drink of water, I would say thank you, even though you've got a bottle in your bag. If they haven't, get your bottle out and just settle in. Now, speaking in this lovely way that I've just said, hi, thank you for interviewing me, it's going to really help the interviewers warm to you, as well as you kind of settling in. Now, during the interview, it's great if you can maintain this kind of openness. For example, it's absolutely fine to admit you're feeling a little nervous. Now, particularly if you're feeling like you're not giving your best answers due to your nerves, you could say something like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm noticing I feel a little nervous. This interview is really important to me. I'd love to work here. Then you can just pace yourself, take a sip of water, breathe, relax your body as best you can. So you've let the interviewers know then, this isn't my character you're seeing. I'm not necessarily a nervous person who might stumble over my words. This is how I am because I'm in an interview that I'd really like the job for. It's also fine to ask them to repeat a question, break it down into 2 parts if it's a longer question. That's absolutely fine too. You can ask if your answer is thorough enough, or would they like you to say more, give another example. In some of it you can read their non-verbal cues, lots of nodding, writing things down. But if you're not sure that you said enough, and you're conscious you don't want to say too much, just say, is that enough for you, or would you like me to expand? Also, refer to those notes that you put in your bag. So if they asked about previous relevant experience, you've got everything there, just dive in, look at that. And then at the end, if you remember something you wish you'd said earlier, just, it's not too late. So if you get to the end of the questions, they say that was our last question, and you're thinking, oh, when I was nervous on question 2, I wish I'd said, just own it again, be open. And just, oh, thank you very much, you'd say. And then just say, oh, do you know, I'm just realising, because I was so nervous at the start, I really missed something out of question 2 that I'd like to share. Can I do that now? And let that, you know, add that in. It's okay. Don't go home thinking, oh, I wish I'd said it. You're still there. So just say, I'd just like to add that. It's nice if you can have a question to ask at the end of them rather than them asking you. Typically they'll say, have you got any questions for us? So the floor is open at that point. Now try to avoid asking a financial question or anything they've already sent you information on that you should know. Now you likely will know what the salary is, how you get paid, or maybe not how you get paid but what you get paid. And key things like that. So don't ask something you should already know. But you could ask a simple question like, are there opportunities for overtime? Would you like me to work at other sites? And let them know I'd be happy to work at other sites. I would be happy to take overtime. Or you can go for something deeper. What do you think the most important aspect of this role is? You could ask that. Now, what you're asking, you want to be showing yourself to be keen and eager. You could also ask, when might you've made your decision and when might I hear from you? That's an okay question as well. But we want questions that show you're keen, that you're interested in the role as much as possible. Now before you leave, thank your interviewer or interviewers again and thank them for their time. And there's just one other thing I want to say really on my top 10 tips before I give you a few little bonusy bits that are particularly good. I want you to know you are good enough. We started off these top tips talking about your frame of mind. We've kind of come full circle because I want to just say about how powerful your thoughts are. Your thoughts create your feelings, and so often we give ourselves a hard time. I want you to know that you deserve the best in life. You're really worthy of the job you're going for. Whatever you've done before work-wise or haven't done, your past does not define your future. So just release that. Whatever people have said about the type of work you should do or shouldn't do, that's their opinion, but your opinion is what matters, and I'm urging you to know that you're worth it. You've been shortlisted for an interview, and that means that this company thinks you might be a good fit for them. And just maybe after the interview you won't want the job. Maybe you'll decide that their values don't match yours. And I'm saying that because it's about you taking back something. It's easy to see that the company is over there and you're over here, and it's all about you being good enough and proving yourself. But I want you to just know you are good enough, and the vast majority of interviewers want you to do well. They're there rooting for you to do well in that moment. They're on your side. They believe you are good enough, and they just have to go through a process to just check out all the candidates who have applied and keep it fair. But you are worth it, and I wish you the very best of luck with your interview. And I've got 3 quick bonus things for you. I just want to mention internal applicants. Oh, you might not have come across these, or you might have come across these. You do all your prep, you go through all of it, you do a great job, and then a role can go to an experienced applicant who already works for the company. This has happened to me personally, and it's like, oh. Now, you have no control over this, and it's just the way of the world. And I want you to know it's happened to me. So the reason I'm flagging this up is, if your next interview isn't the one that's perfect for you, because maybe there's something just even better around the corner, don't jump to the conclusion you didn't do great. And that brings me to ask for feedback after interview. It is powerful. The way to get really good at doing interviews is to seek and pay attention to feedback from people who have interviewed you. Ask them, what could I have done better? What would I need to do better at so I could reapply and be a strong candidate? Ask them questions, and I know feedback can sting. It can feel like criticism, but it's much better than going to countless interviews not knowing what you need to tweak to get the job. So ask for feedback. I also want to make a really good point, and I've got an example why. I'm going to finish off with a bit of an amusing thing. So if on this occasion you're not offered the job, and I think you will be, but if you're not, I want you to stay professional when you get that call saying sorry you've not been sorry you've not been successful, or when you get the email sorry we've recruited somebody else. If that happens to you at any point in any of your job interviews, I really want you to stay professional in how you respond. Thank them for making the call or the email. Tell them you'll be looking out for future opportunities with the company. And this is key. I know somebody who interviewed a candidate who was second choice for the job, and a fairly close second choice. So they were not the successful candidate. The person I know then found out that the second choice candidate had got in touch with her superior to say, oh, well, I can't believe who interviewed me. She didn't look the part anyway. Her makeup wasn't neat, and she clearly wasn't management material. So and sort of let off a lot of steam about it, and was basically saying the interview was rubbish. Now, what do you know? The person who was first choice couldn't take up the opportunity. Second choice certainly didn't get offered the job after how she'd conducted herself and been so rude, bearing in mind she was to be an assistant manager alongside the very person she'd badmouthed. So seriously, let that be a lesson to us all. Stay professional. You might want to interview again in the future. You might be second choice and you might get a call back. Stay on nice terms. And with that, I just want to wish you a lovely rest of the day, and to really settle into interviews. They're not the big bad monster, and everyone wants you to do well, particularly me. So take good care. Do check out our other videos, and best of luck with your upcoming interview. Bye.